Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. Today we are doing bacon wrapped chicken and a watermelon salad, so that way you can have a nice cookout meal and know how to do it. We're going to do things a little backwards today because we got to baste the chicken a little bit before we finish baking it. So I went ahead and wrapped a couple pieces of chicken here and put it in the oven at 375 for 15 minutes. So they've done their first go around in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and baste them a little bit with some barbecue sauce or some honey mustard. And then we'll throw them in for their second go around at 375 for 15 minutes. And I'll show you guys how to wrap them up. So this is just, my favorite barbecue sauce. I like a spicier barbecue sauce. You can do whatever kind you like. We're going to flip all of these too. So you want to get a set of tongs. And you'll just flip it over. Baste the other side so that way everything's all nice and saucy. I'm only going to do one in barbecue sauce this time because I'll do more in barbecue when I put the other ones in, and I'll do more honey mustard this time than I would the other one. So this is just, store-bought honey mustard sauce, whichever kind you like. Maybe I should try doing a sauce class where I teach people how to make, honey mustard and ranch and some salsa at home for themselves. Jonathan, you want to learn how to make that stuff at home?
Sure.
Alright. We'll figure out how to do one of those. So we'll baste this other side too. Now, the trick is whenever I do this, always put your sauces in another bowl. So say like you made your own barbecue sauce and you're going to baste the chicken with it. Put the stuff you're going to baste with into another bowl so you don't cross-contaminate your whole batch of barbecue sauce. So that way, we only got to worry about this little bit of sauce here getting into contact with potentially undercooked chicken. I'll save these to use for my next batch of chicken, and it'll still be cooked in the oven again, so it'll be alright for me to do. So let's go and flip these bad boys back over. I'm going to leave a little more love on this side. And they'll be ready to go back in the oven for 15 minutes at 375. Get a little more barbecue on there. And we'll go ahead and put these guys in the oven. Remember, this tray just came out, so it's hot. So grab a towel or some oven mitts to put it in the oven. Don't just grab it because you'll burn yourself. So we'll put these guys in the oven. We'll set the owl so we know who's watching the chicken in the oven. Get it? Owl, who? Alright. So now we're going to do our chicken. So I got some chicken breast here. These are the monster ones from Kroger. So they'll take just a hair longer to cook, but it'll be alright. We can always add more time if we need to. We're just going to trim up the little fatty parts that kind of hang off on the end of the chicken breast. Just because we don't really need any excess fat, we are adding bacon to it, so we got plenty of fat there. So just trimming that off. Getting this one all cleaned up. And we got a little bit of extra fat here on the edge, so I'm just going to take that off as well. You don't have to, but I've always been in the habit of cleaning that off. So that one looks good, that looks good. Alright, so next up, what I like to do with mine is I'll season them a little bit. You don't have to season the raw chicken breast. It's just something I like to do. I got a little Cajun seasoning. You can do barbecue seasoning. Get a little bit on both sides. That way, you got plenty of flavor. So we'll do Cajun on those. And then I got a little ranch powder here that we'll do on these other two here. And you can completely skip this step and just wrap it straight in bacon. I just think this adds a little something extra to it that doesn't really take too much work or effort to do. It's basically just shaking a shaker over top of it. Just be careful, make sure you're not doing something that is loaded with salt, because you have a lot of salt in the bacon already. So I have just everyday normal sliced bacon here. The thick sliced bacon sometimes can take too long to cook when you wrap chicken with it, or anything with it really. So I like just using your normal bacon. And we're just wrapping it up. You know, the wrap ended there, so we'll try to start right by it. And look, like you can get about 2 pieces of chicken per chicken breast, and just lay it back on there. Do the same with the other pieces of chicken, just wrapping them up. And you want to put them, if you can, with some of the edges down on the tray, so that way the bacon doesn't kind of roll up on you whenever you're roasting it in the oven. So that one's done. And this bacon, I've had it out a little bit since I started doing the other ones before we started, so it's a little more stretchy and pliable. If you don't want to do that, leave it in the fridge, or you could put it in the freezer right before you do it, and it'll be less stretchy and it'll be easier and a little more stiff. That's a good tip for whenever you also want to cut bacon up for something. Put it in the fridge or freezer, or I'll put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes, and it'll get really cold and really firm. It'll be easy to chop up to add to your greens, or fry up for bacon bits, or whatever you might want to chop bacon up for. So we got these guys all nice and wrapped. I'm going to take my gloves off. We're going to throw these guys in the oven. And now we're going to get started on our salads. So we'll get rid of that. I got me a little watermelon here. Just going to take it. We're going to cut an end off that watermelon and stand up. This way we have a nice flat surface to work with, and that way it won't roll on us whenever we go to cut stuff. So I'm going to cut the top of this off. Just be very careful doing this so you don't cut yourself. So we got the top of it off, and now we can see where the white and the greens are and the pink is. So we're going to cut down along that white, so that way it can kind of just peel away. The first one's always kind of hard because you gotta figure out how deep to cut so you don't cut too much of the actual fruit away but still get all that rind. So we're just cutting this away. And this is a good way to trim your cantaloupe, your honeydew, whatever melons you like. This is also how people trim up citrus as well, so that way you can segment your oranges and stuff. Now you could save these watermelon rinds and pickle them, but that's for another show, so we won't worry with that today. I don't think our camera guy is going to want to eat pickled watermelon, so we won't torture him with that. Right, Jonathan?
I'll try one.
Oh, well. Maybe next time I get watermelon, we'll pickle it. So, I'm going to trim up this last little bit of rind on there. And now we just basically want to cut this into bite-sized pieces. Because we are using this for a salad, so we kind of want something that will go with the other sides and stuff, because we're putting some cucumbers and some pickled onions and some feta in there. So it's going to cut some nice little pieces out of here. Oh, they told me this is seedless. Great. Well, alright. So all we're going to do now is cut it into some strips. Give a little turn. Those pieces a little white on. And I got a bowl with a colander inside here, so that way we can go ahead and put our watermelon in there, and it will kind of leak the juices off. And then when we add it to our salad, the salad won't become real watery, and we can have a nice crunchy salad with everything in it. So, it's good watermelon. So let's cut the rest of this up. Give it a turn. Add it all in there. And of course, if it falls apart, not pick it up, but oh well. Go in the bowl. Can't go wrong with fresh watermelon on a summer day. This is just a fun way to eat it, so that way, you know, you get a little variation from just, you know, picking it up as a slice and eating it. And we'll get these last two pieces here. Give it a turn. And you can kind of see on the cutting board here where there's already a bunch of juices coming out of it. That's why you put it in a bowl with a colander, so that way it can kind of, you know, let the juices run to the bottom of the bowl and not into our salad. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit, get those juices all wiped up. And now we need to do our mint. We got some fresh mint here. Just going to kind of tear the leaves off here so we can give them a nice rough chop. Fresh mint. If this doesn't say summer to you, I don't know what will. You got fresh mint, watermelon, barbecue chicken. This is a great summer meal here. It's going to be easy to do, light, refreshing. Just going to give this a rough little chop here. And our mint is ready to go, so we're just going to toss that in there. I'm going to toast up a little bit of pecans. You don't have to put nuts in this salad. I just like it because it gives a little bit of a crunch. I keep my nuts in the freezer, so whenever I bring them out, I always try to toast them a little bit in the stove or on the stove. You can do it in the oven too if you want. We just got these on about medium heat. And we'll kind of let them sit there for a second, and they will start to toast up, and you'll be able to smell them a little bit whenever they get ready. So I'm just going to keep an eye on while I cut up my English cucumber. Just to make this easier for me to get out of the package, I'm cutting it up in half and cut the ends off. If you prefer regular cucumbers, go ahead and use those. I just like English cucumbers, so I use those more than the regular ones. So we're getting the plastic off here. This plastic doesn't taste very well. So we got our cucumber all set. We're just going to cut this guy in half, and then we'll kind of cut it in half again. So we're quartering the cucumber and just giving it a chop. I got another bowl here, so we'll add our cucumber to that. So that way we can do our finished salad in that bowl and leave all the watermelon juices in there. Cut this guy in half again, quarter it, quarter that one. Give that a little chop again. Mix it all up. I got some feta here. If I use feta, I always try to get in the blocks. That way it stays a little fresher, and you can kind of control how big of a chunk you get, or how big the chunks are when you crumble it. So just gonna break this up a little bit. I love roasting a whole block of feta too for cheese plates. It's a fun variation of cheese plate, and it's always surprising to people. So we'll save a little bit of that to sprinkle on the end if we need to. Break up a couple of these pieces a little more. Check our nuts. Don't want them to burn. Now we got, you can do spring mix. I had a little bit of spinach in the fridge that I'm going to just try to use up. So just going to add that to our bowl. And then I went ahead and pickled some red onions before we did this. If you scroll back a little bit into our, I think it was Cinco de Mayo, I did pickled red onions for our chicken adobo, or the tacos we made that day. I did pickled red onions for that. Basically, we just bringing some red wine vinegar to a boil, with a little bit of sugar and salt. Pour it over top of the onions. Let it cool and come to room temperature, and then your onions are all set. Just going to sprinkle these in. I left them in rings, so that way it kind of looks cool for presentation. Adding some of those in. I should have put my mint in this bowl, but we'll get that in there. Get our watermelon in here. Give this a nice little mix in just a second once I get that last little bit of mint. Give this a nice little mix, and then when we get our nuts ready in just a second, that's a big leaf of spinach, we can just kind of drop those on top, and it'll be a nice little crunchy texture. So just mixing this all up. Let me get a spoon, that might be a little easier to do. Giving this a nice mix. That spinach doesn't want to seem to stay down, but we'll get it going. So we'll go ahead and give our nuts a little chop as well. They're nice and warm. We'll grab that chicken in just a second. So I'm just giving these pecans a little chop. You can leave these out. You could do, walnuts, almonds, macadamia nuts, whatever kind of nuts you prefer. Just giving these a little chop. If you got some of those fun ones that are like honey roasted or something like that, that'd be a nice little texture and flavor variation as well. Just gonna put those in there. Now we're going to grab our chicken out of the oven. So that is looking pretty good. Your salad here, and grab some tongs to plate it up with. Since this is kind of a barbecue dish, we can use our paper plates here. I'll add a little more watermelon to this. That'll help with the spinach too. So we got our watermelon, our feta, our cucumber, the pickled onions, the spinach. That's looking great. And then we're going to take this nice piece of barbecue chicken here, and we got a nice summer dinner party meal that doesn't take very long to do. While the chicken's roasted in the oven, you easily make the salad with no problem. Hope you guys give it a try. Tune in next time. We'll make something else yummy, and we'll see you then.